Welcome everybody to today's AdEspresso and Hootsuite Ads webinar. Just before we get going, just like to see where people are tuning in. We've got very high numbers today, so you'll see a chat box there on GoToWebinar. If you just put a little note in there, let us know exactly where you're joining us from there. Also, just check our audios if you can hear us okay. If you can just put a little message in chat there. So a bit of housekeeping before we get going. Yes, there will be a recording. Anybody that's signed up, we will send that out to you in an email, probably about an hour after the webinar there. We'll also put it on our YouTube channel. So if you just look for AdEspresso on YouTube, you'll find it there. We're going to be taking questions as we go along and certainly at the end. So any questions that you've got there, just put that into the chat box and we're going to answer as many as we can for you. So on to today's webinar. This is going to be hosted by Chiara Iacoponi. She's based in Milan, just like the AdEspresso and Hootsuite Ads offices, and she's a senior ad strategist for Google. To mark the launch of the Google Ads interface inside AdEspresso and Hootsuite Ads, we're going to run this exclusive webinar where Chiara is going to be going through some of the benefits of Google Ads and how to integrate them into your marketing strategy. So welcome, Chiara, and also welcome, Massimo.
Hello, hi, Paula, everybody.
Hello, everyone from Italy. So today you have UK accent and Italian accent for this webinar.
Excellent. So I'll let you go and take it away.
Perfect. Let's get started. So first of all, welcome everybody. I'm Chiara. I'm from Italy. I lived in 4 different countries over the past 7 years, and now I'm based in Milan. So my job is to work with Google partners and support them in delivering the best solutions and experiences with Google Ads to our advertisers. So as the title of this webinar says, today we are going to cover how to make the best use of Google Ads in an integrated approach to digital marketing. We'll go through some of the latest consumer trends. Here in Google, we refer to them as the age of assistance. We discover what it is. Basically, these trends have caused a deep change in online consumer behavior. And therefore, we'll start from there to understand what the implications are for marketers. With these concepts in mind, we'll jump into Google Ads topic. The idea is to share with you some of the tactics that represent the best practices for getting started with search. In fact, we'll see how important it is to be aware of some aspects of search advertising that are actually, like simple concepts, but they do have a huge impact on advertisers' ability to then deploy more advanced strategies and take the most out of them. So let's start. Remember what Google looked like this? It was just a search engine and only 5% of the world had access to the internet. Today, fortunately, 50% of the world has access to the internet, and that computer corner in your home is now actually a supercomputer in your pocket, and it's available at any moment. So if we think about when the first smartphones came out, it's been already 11 years. It's pretty hard to believe. And smartphones basically have sparked a revolution in the way we behave. We say that mobile has changed everything. We were constantly connected and we love our devices, but above all, what we really love about them is the power they give us. The ability to get exactly what we want instantly and effortlessly. So let's take a look at this shift more in detail. To give you some perspective, there are currently around 8 billion connected devices in the world, and which means it's more devices than people. By 2020, that is in just 2 years, that figure will be closer to 20 billion, and it will be growing by a million new devices every hour. So you might be wondering why this is important to you as business owners. The reason is that this growth in connectivity is having a dramatic impact on how we behave as consumers and how we interact with businesses. In 2017 alone, e-commerce sales worldwide ballooned to $2.3 trillion, which was a 25% increase over the previous year. Of that amount, global mobile commerce sales rose 40% to $1.4 trillion. And a large portion of people's days started to be spent in the digital world. In 2017, nearly half of smartphone users spend more than 3 hours on their mobile devices daily. And this is just on mobile. So in Google, one of our key principles is focus on the user and else will follow. And this model has been at the core of all the products and services that we have developed over the years. So of course, we've been paying close attention to how these developments in technology are affecting our behavior and our expectations in the real world. And this is what we have discovered. So first of all, because we've become because we can instantly and easily find the answer to almost any question in just a few taps, we have become more curious. So let's face it, as consumers, we research absolutely everything. How many of you have just today said, just Google it? I think quite a few bunch. 15% of all, oops, skipping slides so fast. I think, Paul, that we already get some problems with technology, but if slides are frozen, okay, here we go. Right. So 50% of Google searches every year are new. That is, they've never been searched before. And 45% of customers' purchases are prompted by something that the users have seen online. So because of this continuous access to information, we now also know exactly what's possible and what we can get. So we expect businesses to cater to our unique personal needs. And as a result, we have become more demanding. Imagine that mobile searches for like something for me have increased 99% over the past 2 years. And finally, because we know just how quickly we can get our needs met, we have also become more impatient. So it's not a surprise that over the past 2 years, mobile searches for same-day shipping have increased by 120%. So more curious, more demanding, more impatient, which leads us to the conclusion that today's consumer is more empowered than ever before. The very nature of how consumers behave and what they expect has totally changed. And with the growth in connected devices, this sense of empowerment will only intensify. We now live in a world where businesses need to be online, not only to impact the way people buy, but also to help them make decisions before they buy. And we call it the age of assistance. So we believe that as leaders within your industries, you can take a major step forward by delivering truly assistive experiences to your consumers, not only at the point of purchase, but also as they gather information and make decisions across the entire purchase journey. There are more opportunities than ever before to connect with your consumers, to tell them something they want to hear, help them find what they're looking for, so to literally assist them. So to take the most out of these new opportunities, it is paramount to be aware of deep implications that the age of assistance has had on customer journey. From a pure marketing point of view, a customer journey has always been depicted as a rather linear and simple path to purchase. So generally, everything started from a stimulus delivered by a TV commercial. Then the consumer exposed to such stimulus was influenced further by advertising on another media that could have been print and would eventually bring into store and drive a purchase. And for decades, marketers have structured their marketing strategies starting from these few simple assumptions around consumer behaviors. Today, the customer journey, as we knew it from marketing books, it's really impossible to conceive it anymore. And as we saw before, the rise of connected devices has created a multitude of so-called micro moments that represent the new potential touch points along the path to purchase between potential customers and businesses. So not only online has emerged, as we all know, as a new media channel, but the interactions between channels and consumers have increased in number and have become more complex. So above all, linearity across the customer journey doesn't exist anymore. For example, a physical store, which in past used to be identified as the ending point of customer journey, can rather be the starting point. How many of you have looked at the product reviews while in store? It happened to me all the time, so it regularly happens. Let's go through an example. So Tom is the D2P, and this is his customer journey and related touch points with a children equipment store. So Tom's journey starts offline. He sees an outdoor ad on driving safety while on his way to his office. And once there, he searches for car safety equipment. Then during his lunch break, while watching some car videos on YouTube, he's a big fan of that, he gets exposed to a video ad of a car chair brand sold by a retailer X. He then calls his wife to see if she knows any recommended brand for car chairs. In the afternoon, he searches for best car chairs and lands on retailer X websites by clicking on a search ad. In the evening, while browsing on a website of car reviews, he sees a banner ad from retailer X. And that same evening, after also having spent some time on social media, reading the news online, and after dinner, he buys a car chair from retailer X. So as you can see from this example, which is a very, very simple representation of what really happens every day, among all those moments, there were few that were particularly relevant for retailer X to be there in front of Tom's eyes. And so we said that the customer journey, as we knew it from marketing book, that is linear and simple, is not reflective of reality anymore. It has become more complex, more fragmented, and multi-directional. At the same time, it's still possible to identify some of the key phases that any consumer goes through along her or his path to purchase, which make up the so-called marketing funnel. So just bear in mind while I go through it that as consumers, we can move non-linearly across the funnel, in both up and downward the direction. So let's have a look at it. The top of funnel is the awareness stage, where lies the largest addressable audience. A consumer in the awareness stage might interact with a brand that she didn't know before or discovering it for the first time. At the lower level, there is the consideration stage, when a consumer starts nurturing a first purchase intent and creates a consideration set of alternatives, be them products or service providers. Further down the funnel, there is the conversion stage, where the audience with the strong commercial intent lies. Here, a consumer has a strong intention to buy and takes the decision where and from whom to purchase. Eventually, at the bottom of the funnel, there is the loyalty stage, where users perform repetitive purchases from the same businesses. Along the funnel, each stage is characterized by key user actions. So, for example, a consumer sees something new at the awareness stage, thinks of possible alternatives at the consideration phase, does an action at the conversion stage, and eventually cares about a brand or a provider, becoming an advocate in the market. So knowing the marketing funnel is very, very important in order to carefully plan targeted strategies for each of its stages. Upper funnel, you might want to inspire and build connections with your audience in the awareness phase. During the evaluation of alternatives at the consideration phase, your goal should be informing and educating prospects about your value proposition in order to differentiate your offer and influence their decisions. Further down the funnel, the objective is to drive action and lead a prospect to convert. And eventually, at the latest stage, you really want to treat and reward your most loyal customer to further fidelize them. So for each stage of the funnel, one can also identify different marketing activities, messages, and assets that are most suited to interact with consumers. And to execute those activities, specific campaign types are recommended. So generally speaking, Google search ads are the primary tool to target consumers in the consideration and conversion phase. So think and do moment. Consumers that are at these stages, in fact, have already recognized the need, and therefore they generally search for more information and evaluate alternatives. And search ads are the best tool to move them further down the funnel and take action. This is why search ads are also referred to as performance solutions. At the extremes of the funnel, instead, the Google Display Network and YouTube with image ads and video ads are the most suited, as the goal there is not necessarily to drive action, rather to stand out as a brand, as a product, and to create emotional bonding and so on. So this is why the Google Display Network and YouTube are also referred to as branding solutions. So at this point, you might have noticed that in this slide, search also appears on the see and care segments, and GDN is a bit all over, as well as YouTube. This is because under specific circumstances and with specific settings, search can be used for branding as well. And similarly, GDN can become a performance solution. For example, think about retargeting. But exceptions aside, at the macro level, we are used to identify search for performance and display YouTube for branding. So this webinar is all about discovering search ads. But before jumping into this main topic, I'd like to give you a sneak peek of Google Display Network as well. It will be very, very short, just because we know that our AdEspresso and Hootsuite team is constantly working for developing the platform. So in the future, we might see some news also on that front. So the Google Display Network is the largest display network in the world. It represents an inventory of over 3 million websites, apps, and videos, with a reach of about 90% of global internet population. It can help you reach people while they're browsing on their favorite websites, showing a friend a video on YouTube, checking Gmail accounts, or using mobile devices and apps. It also gives advertisers access to exclusive 6 Google properties of over 1 billion users each. So how it works? On the Google Display Network, you start your advertising journey by setting targeting that can be contextual, so you decide where to show your ads, or based on audience, so you decide to whom to show your ads. After setting this, your ads are eligible to show according to your targeting criteria across all devices. The main format that we have on GDN are text ads, image ads, video ads, and native ads on websites that are, for example, like news feeds. So I don't know, Paul, if before we jump into Her Majesty Google Search Ads, we want to address some initial questions. Is there any feedback or comment?
It's great information so far on there. And I was having a coaching call with somebody today that didn't realize how important mobile's got. I think sometimes in marketing, we're used to sitting behind our laptops and forget that in the real world, everybody's on mobile. So we haven't got many comments. Oh, we've just got some questions coming in, but there's some shout outs first before we get to that. So just seeing where people are joining us from, we've got Neville from the UK. I think we've got Kelsey from Virginia, we've got Lester from Pennsylvania, we've got Christina from New York, we've got Eric from Norway, we've got Florida, we've got Ruben from Mexico. So we've got people from all over the world joining us today. So that's really good there. So questions just come in, and please everybody just drop any questions that you've got into the questions box, then we'll get to some at the end. For somebody's asking here, Casey is asking how you can micro-target users as they move down the funnel. So I don't know if that's something you're going to address later, or if you've got any strategies to take people from that kind of awareness stage and take them through.
So first of all, thanks for all the details that you have provided on our audience. That's a very, very good question. Of course, one should, let's say, investigate better what the ultimate advertising goal of the specific campaign of the specific business would be, but definitely there are like several ways to let's say chase our consumers and push them further down the funnel. So for example, audience targeting is a big theme this year, especially here in Google. We have had a lot of innovation on this theme, and it can be applied both to search and display. So unfortunately, we don't have time to go too much in detail on this topic, but definitely audience solutions, like the application of audience features both on search and display, would definitely help moving consumers further down the funnel.
So we just had the idea for the next webinar. Chiara will have to join us for another webinar.
It's one of my favorite topics. So
all focus on retargeting.
Awesome. And just one more question before we carry on. There's Jeff just asking whether we support Google Display Network on AdEspresso and Hootsuite ads. We don't at the moment, but we are developing our offering literally on a daily basis. We're working fast. So I don't know if Massimo can answer anything there, but I know that it's certainly going to watch this space. We're adding more functionality to our Google offering all the time. Don't know if you've got anything to add there, Massimo?
So Google, of course, is huge, and they have so many different ad units. But yes, of course, over time, the idea is to cover all the ad units that Google is offering. The two that we are looking with more interest at right now are display network and Google Shopping. So just also for our internal use, let us know in the chat box which product you are more interested in and which one are you already using. But since we started releasing Google inside of AdEspresso, I already received a bunch of emails specifically about display network. So I cannot give you right now an exact timing, but I will say it's fair to expect within the first half of 2019, we will release display network.
Awesome. I'll let Chiara get on now, and keep your questions coming. And like Massimo says, put in any feedback you've got for AdEspresso and Hootsuite ads, and we'll get to that at the end there.
Perfect. So let's move on. Thank you, Paul. So since you liked my stats so much, I will share some more. And I'll start talking about search by saying that by the time you read this slide, the world will have asked Google 500,000 questions. And those searches travel on average of 1,500 miles to the nearest data center and back to return an answer to our users, using over 1,000 computers in 0.2 seconds. So I'm not saying this just because it's cool and because I want to impress you, but also because it's important for you to know, because it means that there is a massive database of intention just waiting for you to tap into. Search, in fact, shows you what is top of mind. People are entering the questions they want answers to. You can actually try out autocomplete to find out what is top of mind for your customers. You can use who is, why is, where is. So you can use these operators terms to see what people are thinking about your products or services. So why should you care? Because of intent. Search is still the biggest indicator of intent that is out there. So how much more qualified can you possibly get than someone raising their hand and asking for you and looking for you? Your consumers are looking for needs, solutions, and businesses on the so-called digital shelf, just like they would be looking on store shelf. So you really need to be there and win in those consumers' micro moments. And with search ads, you can own your digital shelf right when people are looking for answers. So let's get more into the details of search and see how search ads work. Especially for the newbies of Google Ads, and sorry if it's a repetition for the more familiar the ones that are more familiar with it. This is the search engine page result, which is also called SERP. The first four items are page results, that is ads linking to websites, and this is commonly known as the result of search engine marketing. So it's the outcome of running a Google Ads campaign. And the following ones are organic results or linked to websites on a search engine result page, which are not paid for. We all know that they're surfaced by an algorithm and that are not paid. So why it is important to run search ads even when appearing as an organic result? We ran a study here in Google and found out that 89% of paid clicks are incremental to organic clicks, which means these are clicks that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. Let's get even more practical. How do I pay? It's a cost per click model. So you only pay when someone clicks on your ad. And another very, very popular question I've heard so often, how do I get to the top of Google? So it's not just a matter of money, that is it's not just a matter of bits. We have a formula for the ranking. So while what you're willing to pay is one key element, you can't just pay to win top spot. We consider other factors too. And ultimately, the better your ads are, the less you need to pay for the same position. So better ads equal cheaper ads. So in plain English, what this means is you should think of the maximum bid and quality score relationship as a seesaw. If you can improve your quality score, you will be rewarded by not having to pay as much for a click. The quality score consists of your keywords expected CTR, the relevance of your ads, and the landing page experience. Not sure if my slides got stuck. Yes, here we go. So this means that through AdEspresso and Hootsuite ads, you can actually have full control of 2 out of the 3 components of the quality score. So let's now see how to master them. I'm going to share with you 3 sets of tactics on how to set up an account for success, how to pick keywords that bring you to high-value users, and how to catch their eyes and win them with great text ads. So let's start from the account setup. Especially for those of you that are new to Google and Google Ads, an ad account and some main elements. So the first one is a campaign, be it a search, display, or video campaign. For each campaign, you then have one or more ad groups, and in each ad group, you can create ads and select keywords. So having this structure in mind and understanding how to set it up at best is really, really the first and most important step towards a successful advertising strategy on search. The reason is that at each level, there are specific settings that one can control, and that influence the next lower level. For example, at campaign level, you control very important settings like the advertising networks, location, languages, budget, time frame, and bidding. Once you set them, any ad group created within the campaign will follow those settings. So the recommendation here is to organize campaigns and ad groups into common themes. Tightly themed ad groups ensure relevance between keyword, the ad, and the landing page. And all this will result in higher quality score and therefore lower cost. As a tip, a very, very good way to approach this challenge is to actually replicate in your ad account the same structure that you have on your website. It should really help creating those themes that I was mentioning before. Let's look at an example. So Frost & Associates is a Detroit-based law firm specialized in tax, debt, and bankruptcy law. While they're very well known for their general service, their general law services, they're actually trying to improve their branding and reputation on specialty law. And the ad account looks like this. It has 2 different campaigns for general and specialty law with themed ad groups underneath. So what is the advantage of having the previous structure rather than a single campaign and ad grouping like this one? So with this structure, which is indeed preferable, Frost & Associates can differentiate the settings among their 2 campaigns that have indeed 2 very different goals. So on the general law side, they are very, very well known as a company, and their goal is to drive leads from the website to get bookings for consultations. So the bidding strategy here to be used will be maximize conversions. On the specialty law side, they need to build up presence and a reputation in the market. So their goal is to drive traffic on that section of the website. And the bidding strategy, in this case, should be maximize conversion. Here's another example from a furniture e-commerce. So what do you think the best structure is in this case? The one on the left or the one on the right? It's definitely the one on the left, where you can see the ad groups tightly themed. And it's easy to imagine in this case what the website could look like, right? So most likely there are different sections for different furniture categories. And the example on the left mirrors exactly this. So this way, for example, you might be able to bid differently on top performing versus low performing categories. If you structure your accounts as per the right-hand side example, this wouldn't be possible. So campaign structure and ad group grouping are very much linked to the next set of best practices related to keywords. So let's continue with the previous example. We have all agreed that such structure is the most valid one. Now let's have a look at a specific ad group, the attorney. Let's suppose that this ad group contains the following list of keywords and this single ad. So any concerns around this choice? You should have some, because the problem with this keyword selection is that if someone searches for chapter 7 and we add this keyword under the attorney ad group, the ad sponsoring tax services might be eligible to show. So what do you think would be the quality score of an ad dealing with tax services in an auction where a user search for chapter 7? Very, very low. So we want this. We don't want this. It would be ineffective and inefficient. This one would definitely a better selection of keyword for the attorney ad group that would guarantee consistency between users, queries, and ads shown. And it's pretty much the same for the remaining ad groups and set of keywords. You have to make sure that keywords you put in an ad group and the ads in there are fully aligned in terms of messages. So have I heard at this point of keyword match types? These help control which searches can trigger your ad and are therefore very, very important. So each match type can trigger your ad to show for a customer search in different ways. When you use broad match, which is the default match type, your ads automatically run on relevant variations of your keyword, even if these terms aren't in your keyword list. Broad match modifiers ensures that your ads will only show when a search is an exact match or close variant of your keywords. So synonyms like quick and fast and related searches like shoes and boots aren't considered close variants and therefore wouldn't trigger your ads under broad match modifier. And when using phrase match, ads may show on searches that match a phrase or a close variation of that phrase with additional words before and after. So ads won't show in this case if a word is added to the middle of the phrase or if words are rephrased, are reordered in different ways. And eventually, with exact match, you can show your ad to customers who are searching for your exact word or close variants of your exact words. So basically, spanning from broad match to exact match, what you have is that for broad match, definitely you have the broadest reach. You can spend less time building keyword lists, but then you might have some searches that are not relevant for you and your CTR might be lower. So as we move into more specific match types, we, let's say, lose a bit of reach, but we definitely gain in terms of relevance and CTR. So when choosing keywords match types, we typically recommend using a broad to narrow strategy. So first, you might start off with broad match keywords to maximize the potential to show your ads on relevant searches. Then we suggest starting using a combination of 2 or more keyword match types to run an effective campaign. For example, if you use broad match and phrase match, you reach a broader audience while also controlling who can see your ads. And you can use the keyword suggestion tool by AdEspresso Hootsuite Ads to gather more ideas, let's say. So you can start either from your website or from a term that you have in mind and see what the tool recommends. So we've seen the golden rules of account structure and keyword selection. Let's now move on to text ads. So I think that most of us are pretty familiar with the different components of a text ad. So we have 2 headlines, a display URL, display path, and a description. Generally, there are 3 simple best practices to create best-in-class text ads and win customers. So controlling the ad copy, boosting relevance, and testing out different messages. Let's start with the first. So to have full control over your ad copy and ensure that the ad is a performing one, it is recommended, first of all, to highlight what makes unique. So you have to make sure that in the text, the differentiating aspects of your product or service stand out and help you stand out from competition. Second suggestion is to include prices, promotion, and exclusive. So for example, if you have any specials or discounts, or you want to sell a specific model or product, call it out. And third, you should empower consumers to take action. So it's always a good idea to include a call to action. That is the action you want your consumer to take. If you're an online shoe store, your description might include shop now or buy shoes now. Or if you offer a service, you might want to add something like get an instant quote online or see pricing. So calls to action like purchase, call, order, browse, and up make clear what the next steps are. If we look at this example, you can really see how this text ad follows this best practice. So immediately get that the ad is about cheap yet nice hotels and getting the rates is pretty fast. there is a clear call to action. So you not only can browse rates, but you can also book from the same portal. And eventually, I think that the word today almost conveys the idea that the convenience is temporary. And eventually, there is a quantified promotion for a specific audience, that are students. So here are some power words that represent very good call to actions or differentiators that you can use. Moving on to relevance. You've heard me repeating this word already quite a few times, and that's because it's very, very important in order to drive efficient performance. So here are some simple tricks that help boost performance and hence quality score. So first of all, you should include your keywords in the text of the ads. So for example, if Hotel for Students New York was a keyword for this campaign, this ad would definitely adhere to the best practice, as these terms are in the text of the ad. Then you have to make sure that in the title, it's included the specific product or service that you're sponsoring. User search is all about your product or service. So having it right up front in the title increases relevance. And eventually you have to make sure that the final URL of your ads is aligned with the ad itself. For example, let's imagine that this ad group targets specifically students. What would the user experience be if one sees students promotions mentioned in the ad and then is redirected to the homepage of the hotel? So it's not the best. Plus, it penalizes the quality score, as people might indeed leave your website if they don't find what they expect. Third advice is to test out different messages, and generally one should aim at having at least 3 ads per ad group. With AdEspresso notes, actually it's extremely easy to create and test variations of your ads, because you simply have to click on the blue button next to each component of your ads and formulate, for example, additional headlines, descriptions, and so on. And this will result in ad variations being automatically created out of your inputs. And you can always review them, edit or delete them at a later stage in case you don't like one or more of them. And here is a simple checklist that you can use as a reference in the future, I hope very soon, when you'll be creating your ads. So now almost 1 hour have passed and you might feel a bit like this, so no panic. It's almost time for me to shut up and leave space to your questions. So before that, I leave it to, so let's recap this, what we've seen so far. The empowered consumer in the age of assistance is curious, demanding, and impatient. We have Google Ads solutions to cover the entire marketing funnel, with Google Search focusing on performance. On search, ad rank is a function of your bid and quality score, influenced in turn by the relevance of an advertiser's keywords and ads. Optimal accounts, campaign, and ad group structures are a first step to improve the quality score. And the idea is for the account to mimic the website structure and have tightly seen ad groups and keyword sets. Ads need to be catchy and totally aligned with consumer search. Hence, best practices include hyper control of ad copy, relevance between ads, keywords, and landing page, and testing of multiple variations of messages. So I hope it's been helpful for you guys. And before opening up the stage for your questions, I leave it to Paul to give, or Massimo maybe, to give an announcement.
Absolutely, Paul, go for it. I just wanted to add that thank you, Chiara. This was amazing content, super useful to help everyone getting started on Google Ads and optimize their campaign. And on the latest part about optimizing the copy, that's exactly why AdEspresso with Ads include split testing for Google Ads ads.
That's great.
So you'll be able to test different title, different text, different URL to improve your quality score and find what's the best matching ad for each of your keyword set. So that's it, and I'll leave it to Paul now. Thank you again, Chiara. This was amazing.
Awesome, thanks, Chiara. There's some really good information there. So yeah, just there's a lot to take in during the presentation there. And we're aware that we've created some really good software to manage Google Ads within AdEspresso and Hootsuite Ads, but sometimes you need that extra helping hand. So just let you know that we do have some services available for you. We've got some of the best Google Ads experts out there who can give you that one-to-one advice. So the first is campaign reviews. They're quite short, they're quite tactical. They can just get you back on track really quickly. There's a little yellow button in the dashboard for any Google Ads campaign. If you click on that, you can put in a note that's sent to our consultants, and usually within 1 business day, or it's at the moment where we're still dialing it in, sometimes 2 or 3 business days, but generally quite quickly, we're going to get you a campaign review back. It's a proper video talking you through your exact campaign, so really personalized. If you find that you want something like more overall strategy there, we can also arrange one-to-one coaching calls there with one of our experts. Now, to book that, just send a message to support@adespresso.com, or just use the little help button in the bottom right hand corner of the app, and then we're going to send you the form there, so you can then connect with one of our experts and we can dig through your particular strategy and come up with some really personalized advice there for you. So just so you're aware that we've got those services available. Brilliant. We've got some questions coming now, and keep them coming in. So we'll just go through a few of these here, maybe a couple for Massimo as well there. But the first is that we've got somebody, they didn't leave their name, but they're asking about some of the targeting options which are similar to Facebook. So I know a lot of people on this webinar are coming from a Facebook background. So Kiara, just very broadly, could you explain how you can target by things like location, age, gender, or interests, as well as keywords? Just what kind of things are available there in Google?
Yeah, so actually one of the most similar one also in terms of naming is the so-called similar audiences that I think on Facebook are the lookalike audiences. Yes. And these, for example, are like very good features to target the upper funnels, and that can be used both on search and display. So it basically allows advertisers to reach part of the market that haven't been in touch with them yet, so they're not part of an advertiser's current customer base, but exhibit a browsing behavior very, very similar to those that actually are an advertiser's customer. So it might be a pretty safe way to use search, for example, for upper funnel activities and expand the reach.
And on top of that, let me add, during campaign creation, on Google, you cannot specify if you want to target men or women or age ranges. But the reality is that after the campaign is live, you are going to get some reporting and breakdown inside AdEspresso dashboard on how each segment is performing. I would say that you don't care about specifying age or gender, because if you are setting up your keywords right, that's already powerful enough. Keep in mind, Google is very bottom of the funnel oriented compared to Facebook, that is more top of the funnel. So when you're doing top of the funnel, you need to better understand maybe who your audience is, because you're just guessing that they might be interested in your content, for example. But if someone is searching, I want a better Facebook Ads Manager on Google, they are for sure looking right now for a better Facebook and Google Ads Manager. So you can display them your ad, doesn't matter if they are men or women or young or old. So the real focus here is about getting your keyword right and understanding what are the best keywords to capture purchase intent when people are searching on Google. The rest is, it's important because with the statistics that we are giving you about breakdowns by gender and age, you can then feed this information back on Facebook. So you can make also your Facebook campaign better through Google Ads information. But in terms of fine-tuning your Google campaign, I will not bother much. Spend 99% of your time fine-tuning your keyword. That's what really matters to get the best results.
And especially when it comes to gender targeting, I always mention this example that it's really, really funny. So I have to say that with Google Ads, you can discover things about your audience that you wouldn't expect. So for example, we used to work with some pretty famous car manufacturing brands. And of course, when we talked about targeting and target segments to their marketing manager, it was always mentioning like males, age, like blah blah blah. In the end, we discovered that actually the part of the audience that searches for car details online mostly consists of women.
Wow.
You know, because in the end, a man is much more informed upfront compared to a woman about, like which model to buy. So let's say that a man would start this customer journey online at a much lower stage of the marketing funnel compared to a woman. So yeah, I would rather put as Massimo suggested, I would rather put the focus on selecting the really, really right set of keywords.
Excellent. We've got quite a few more questions coming in, so we'll see how many we can get through in the next few minutes. This is quite a specific question, but I'm going to open this up to Massimo in a second. So Annie's asking, will AdEspresso be able to give us the option to create campaigns specifically for Gmail to mailing lists that we've already built? So I thought maybe we could open this up and you could mention about the data sync option there, Max.
Yeah, of course. I think we are referring about two different things. Yeah, in terms of retargeting, I just wanted to remember everyone, but through our data sync tool, which is under tools, data sync, you can already create audiences for Google Ads from your CRM. So you can get all your emails in HubSpot, Marketo, MailChimp, wherever you want, and upload them to Google and then retarget those people. I think this question was referring about a very specific ad unit that Google offers that let you target Gmail ads, which is basically a subset of display advertising. Basically, I think, Chiara, correct me if I'm wrong, you can target people that receive email on Gmail from specific on specific content, and in a very special tab of Gmail, you can display them ads.
Yeah, that's correct. From a let's say advertising point of view, it's actually just a targeting setting within a normal display ad campaign. So I would expect it to be linked to your release.
I don't know. Let's put it like this. I will try it out, and if we like it, we are gonna implement it. Now, jokes apart, even if I'm in Google Office and I could not exit from here live, it's a very interesting kind of advertising. I played with it a bunch of time. It's extremely effective. It's also true that everyone already has too many emails to open just by themselves. So it's a very niche format. We'll start with display ads likely. If it's a subset and it's a very low effort to build the Gmail integration as well, happy to look into that. If it's more complex, we want to support the full family of Google Ads product. It's not on top of our priority list right now. And again, I think it's pretty niche. It's a very interesting ad unit, but for sure is not capturing the biggest amount of the audience.
Yes, absolutely.
Brilliant. And just on that point, Karen's asking what CRMs we support. Do we do Infusionsoft? And I think we do. Is it about 6 or 7 now, Max?
No, actually, we are at about 11, and we are adding at least 1 or 2 every quarter. By the way, spoiler, the next one will be Adobe Campaigns Manager. We do support Infusionsoft. And you can just go under Tools, Data Sync, you'll find the list of all of them. And by the way, we also support LinkedIn for audience creation on top of Facebook and Google. But we support the vast majority of them. And within the Data Sync, you'll find a link to give us feedback. So if we are not supporting the CRM, but you are currently using, please just open the link to give us feedback, which, by the way, opens a Google form, more Google stuff, and let us know what CRM we are missing, what you would love to get integrated. We already have a short list of 3-4 additional ones that are coming, like Zoho, Drip, and we'll start working on them very soon. But guys, I'm, by the way, I'm in the Facebook group all the time. You just have to tag me. So while Chiara is only available for the next 5 minutes, so more questions for Chiara.
Great. Just a quick one here on our coaching calls. Chase is asking if he books a call, how long does it take to get hold of an AdWords expert? So it's something we're just starting to refine the process, but our consultants, they all work day in, day out with AdWords, and that's what we really want, is to get people that are spending real ad dollars there. Generally just a few days. That basically send a message to support@adespresso.com. We'll get back to you with booking form, and it's generally pretty quick. It doesn't take long there. So we've got a few other questions, so I'm just going to select a few. Well, a comment here from Lester. He's giving some feedback on the type of campaigns he's using. So he's using some display campaigns. Let's have a look. Some Google search ads, some remarketing ads, and let's have a look here as well, and a couple of shopping campaigns. So yeah, people are using different ad types at different stages of the funnel. We got one here from a customer here asking what languages you can support in search ads, and just can you run different languages for the same search ads there? So I don't know if you can help us with that, Chiara.
Yes, of course. So as you can imagine, it's also in this case, it's a matter of relevance. So generally speaking, you might have like a universal campaign in English redirecting to your English version of the website, and then like keywords in English targeting like, I don't know, like globally, you know, in terms of geography. And this would cause, for example, a user from Italy to see your ads in English while searching on Italian and then landing on your English version website, you know. So it's doable. Most likely it will cost a little bit more than, let's say, native language campaigns. But I don't know, if you don't have like translating resources and you still want to kind of export with search, it's definitely a viable option, knowing that you will lose a bit in terms of relevance and the full quality score. Best would be to maybe do a short listing of countries you want to build a presence in, and try to stick as much as possible to the native language there, let's say. And therefore have also your keywords and ads, and best case also the website translated in that language. That would be optimal.
Yeah. And when you create campaigns through AdEspresso, Hootsuite Ads, you can specify both the countries or even region, cities where you want to show your ads, and the language. So in multi-language countries like US, Switzerland, cannot think of others right now, you can specify, for example, that you want to show your ads in US, but only to Spanish speakers, for example. But yeah, I think the optimum is if you fine tune also, because probably the keyword searches are going to be different. So
exactly.
Yeah, it's better to have one campaign with keywords in Italian, ad text in Italian, and targeting Google.it website.
Yeah, and in case you don't know it, I'd like to mention the Google Market Finder, which is a free tool available to anyone, to any advertiser, which helps you identify which markets abroad you might prioritize if you want to build a presence there.
Excellent. Now we've got a really interesting question from Neville, quite a high level question, asking what's the best way to run AdWords campaigns for clients. So if you're an agency, let's give you a bit of background on this. On Facebook, you have Facebook Business Manager, where you can have employees, ad accounts, Facebook pages, and other assets like that. Chiara, can you just give us a sort of very quick overview of what you would do as an agency? How would you run ads for a client there?
Is this question from an administrative point of view, like in terms of, I don't know, who has access to the account, how to share data and reports with the clients? Is this the meaning of the question?
It's really from like an agency perspective. If you're an agency, do you like run everything through your own AdWords account, or can you plug into the client?
So, yeah, definitely the best way to start is to be a My Client Center, also known as MCC, which is just like a container. And inside this container, you can link all of the accounts for the clients that you as an agency are managing. So I would definitely not recommend having a single account and different campaigns for different customers that the agency might be working with, simply because it doesn't really make sense, both from the point of view of sharing reports and data with the client, but also in terms of running the campaigns themselves. So a lot of optimization, optimizations run with information that the system takes all over the account, you know. So you wouldn't want the data from a campaign of your client to influence the performance of a campaign of another client when this might be targeted at two completely different segments and industries, you know, like it's really not advisable.
And also through the MCC, you can also better control the budget.
Absolutely.
And if you are billed for your customer advertising, or if they are charged on their own credit card or credit line. So
yeah,
the MCC is super powerful. And just to chime in on the AdEspresso Hootsuite Ads side, as you should know, at least, we have our new collaboration hub that is designed all around agency, and it lets you onboard easily customers with one click and also ask for campaign approval. It's Facebook only right now, but we are starting to work on integrating Google Ads as well. So from probably January, February, you'll be able to use AdEspresso and Hootsuite Ads to ask for campaign approval to your customers, but also to onboard them. With one click, you'll be able to send them a super simple landing page, and basically they'll just have to connect Google, Facebook, and in your business manager, MCC on Google, and even CRM, you'll have all the connection from your user, and you'll be ready to create campaigns or across all the networks, all the CRM, whatever.
Great.
Awesome. So we're coming to the end of the hour now. So I'll take one more question here. But just to let everybody know, first of all, some people are saying, can we go over previous content? So we're going to be emailing everybody the recording within about an hour. Also, later on today, we'll put it onto YouTube. So just search for the AdEspresso channel there. If anyone's got any follow-up questions, if you are an AdEspresso customer, join us in our private Facebook group, AdEspresso University. And if you're not, just tweet us. It's at AdEspresso, and we'll pass those on to Chiara there. So we're going to make sure that we can answer any extra questions there. We're not going to leave anybody out. But last one here from Karen is, should you let Google automate the bidding, or should you do manual bidding? I don't know whether you've got any preferences there, Chiara.
Yes, I definitely do. So let me give our audience some context. So when search ads came out, basically there were very few levers that one could use for optimizing, because in the end it was like keywords, location targeting, and then at some point ad scheduling came out. But then over time, over like more than 7 years of search ads, more and more signals have been integrated. So now basically through our systems, we can play around with a lot of indicators of intent, like geographic location, location of intent, device being used, hour of the day, whether or not a user has already visited our website. And like from a human point of view, it's really not possible to optimize and control a bid, taking all of these signals into account. It's simply not possible. So knowing the increasing amount of data that we are developing, we are gathering, and like with the goal of making it available to all advertisers, starting from half 2017 and continuing to 2018, we have directed most of our innovation efforts here in improving the so-called smart bidding strategies. So, for example, maximize conversion that you can find in AdEspresso and Hootsuite Ads is one of them. So, as of today, knowing all of the developments and improvements that these bidding strategies have gone through, honestly, I wouldn't recommend manual bidding anymore.
Excellent, and that's very similar to Facebook these days, that the algorithms, the robots are definitely getting better than us humans. So thanks, Chiara, and thanks.
If I can add another thing. Also, I mean, I think there are extremely smart people connected to this webinar, so I'd rather prefer having them spend more time strategizing on their campaigns rather than moving CPCs, right?
And that's exactly what we try to do with AdEspresso: automate all the tasks that you can, and then you've got more time to spend on planning ad creative and more important things like that. So yeah, thanks Chiara, and thanks for Massimo for joining us today. I know it's getting late there in Milan and you need to get some dinner, so we'll wrap up things now. Just to recap, for anybody with any questions, you can email support@adespresso.com to talk to our customer success team or book any coaching like that. If you're one of our customers, join us in the AdEspresso University Facebook group. If you've got anything general for Chiara, reach out to us at AdEspresso on Twitter there. And we're going to be emailing everybody recording within an hour. Also, if you don't get that for whatever reason, just search for the AdEspresso channel on YouTube, and we'll be putting it there. We'll probably all just grab some dinner and then we'll be putting it on there, so it won't be too long. So thanks for everybody for joining us, and I hope you found that webinar really useful today.
Thank you, everybody, and thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Ciao.
Ciao. Bye-bye.
Bye.